Hey guys, we're back with more of The Terrible Two by Jory John and Mac Barnett, illustrated by Kevin Cornell. Okay, so we were on chapter 5. I'm just going to go back to the last sentence of chapter 4 because it kind of goes into the first sentence of chapter 5. Okay, Miles Murphy didn't know anything about World War I, and his socks matched. If Miles wasn't the school prankster, he was nobody. Chapter 5. Principal Barkin was somebody. Principal Barkin was a principal. Principal Barkin was the principal of Yanni Valley Science and Letters Academy, and at that moment, staring at a yellow car perched atop a flight of steps, he was an angry man. At an earlier moment, Principal Barkin had been a happy man. That moment was 4:44 a.m. when Principal Barkin woke up 1 minute before his alarm went off. It was the first day of school, and nobody in the entire town of Yanni Valley was happier. He jumped out of bed. First up was his shower. He spent 2 minutes shampooing, 5 minutes conditioning, and 2 minutes on a new song that he made up about school. Goodness gracious, here comes school. School, 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 school. Next, he picked out his favorite tie. It took him 1 minute. The tie was bright red with absolutely no pattern. The problem with the tie was that it had a small mustard stain. But the good thing about the tie was that its color, the red of the tie and not the yellow of the mustard stain, was the color that conveyed absolute power. Always wear red. Presidents knew it, bankers knew it, and Barkin knew it. He ate breakfast, oatmeal on toast, a dish his great-grandmother had invented and deemed the breakfast of Barkins. This gave him exactly 6 minutes to reread his favorite chapter of his favorite book, The 7 Principles of Principal Power. Principal Barkin got into his hatchback, sank into the leather interior, and drove to work in the dark. He was the first person to pull into the lot behind the school that morning, just like every other morning, and he parked in the special principal-only spot, which he had marked with a sign he'd made himself. Principal Barkin says, Principal Barkin parks here. Principal Barkin got out of his car and buffed a smudge on his window with the back of his tie. So it was like getting the smudge out. He looked at the building, exhaled proudly, and walked in through the school's rear entrance. Principal Barkin arrived in his office and settled into his chair. He cracked his knuckles. He sharpened a pencil. Then he hunched over a crisp sheet of paper and began crafting his first day of school morning announcement power speech. I'm Principal Barkin and I am your principal, he wrote and then crossed out. It was hard writing a power speech. He was a little rusty, and a good power speech required perfect concentration. At 6:15, the bell rang. Barkin picked it up and barked a gruff, Yes! Howdy, I'm calling from Armadillo Station area in Amarillo, Texas. How we doing? So listen, I'm calling to offer y'all a great deal on paper clips and other office supplies like staples. You like staples, partner? Not now, Barkin hollered. I'm writing a power speech. Principal Barkin slammed down the receiver. At 6:21, the phone rang again. Principal Barkin picked it up, upside down, and yelled, What? Into the wrong end of the phone. Then he turned it over and yelled, What? Into the right end of the phone. Hello, good sir. This time it was somebody with a chipper English accent. How are your windows this morning? Clean? I'm calling from Laramie Cleaning Supply Company with a great offer on glass cleaner. I have no time for this now, said Barkin. Power speech. You're probably wondering how an Englishman ended up in Wyoming selling janitorial supplies. It's an interesting story. Call later! Barkin slammed down the phone. At 6:36, the phone rang again. Barkin stood up. He knew what he had to do. All principals should have a place in their schools that only they know about, where they can retreat to think and plan and write power speeches undisturbed. Principal Barkin was headed to just such a place, a secret place where he alone was king. His castle, his barony, his hidden land of hopes and dreams, the utility closet on the second floor. Inside, Barkin moved a mop and pulled a chain to turn on the light. There was another mop in the way. He moved that mop too and sat down on a bucket. There he began to write. Barkin, inspired, lost track of time as he wrote his speech. It took an hour. At 7:38, he emerged from the supply closet, clutching perhaps the greatest first-day power speech in the history of Yanni Valley Science and Letters Academy, at which point a student in the hallway told him his car was parked in front of the school entrance. Chapter 6. 40 things happened next. 1. Principal Barkin threw his speech up in the air. 2. He ran downstairs. 3. He stood behind the school's glass doors, staring despondently at his car. 4. He noticed a number of students already milling about on the lawn. 5. He checked his watch. The bell would ring in 19 minutes. 6. Think, he thought. Principal Barkin fumbled for his car keys and dropped them on the floor. He picked up the car keys. Principal Barkin exited the school. 9. Principal Barkin exited the school and crawled over the hood of his car. 10. He unlocked the driver's side door and got in. 11. The car's engine started. 12. Barkin put the car into drive. 13. He realized he could not drive his car down a flight of stairs. 14. The car's engine stopped. 15. Think, he thought. 16. He started up the car again and put it in reverse. 17. He slammed on the brakes. 18. Stairs! Principal Barkin reminded himself. 19. He crawled back over the hood. 20. Principal Barkin again stood at the doors of the school wondering what to do next. 21. He ran to his office and dialed the Yanni Valley towing service. 22. He asked the operator whether it was possible to tow a car down a flight of stairs. 23. The operator told him no. 24. He called the Yanni Valley police station and asked the dispatcher if they could send a helicopter to airlift his car back into his parking spot. 25. The dispatcher told him no. 26. He slammed down the phone. 27. He picked it up again to make sure it was still working. 28. He ran back to the entrance. 29. He stared again at his beautiful car with the sun yellow paint and the leather interior. 30. He checked his watch. The bell would ring in 3 minutes. How will these kids get inside? He asked himself. 31. He wondered whether he would have to cancel school. No principal had canceled school at Yanni Valley Science and Letters Academy since the blizzard of 32. 32. There is a way, he thought. 33. No, he thought. 34. But I can't cancel school, he thought. 35. But the leather interior, he thought. 36. The bell rang. 37. Principal Barkin knew what he had to do. 38. He opened the school's glass doors and stepped outside. 39. He climbed up to the car's roof. 40. He cleared his throat and began to speak. What do you think his plan is? How do you think he's going to cancel school? What do you think? Love to hear what your predictions are for chapter 7. I hope you enjoyed it so far.